shit already. Hi, my friends. Hope you're doing well in this gnarly era that we're in now, as well as you possibly can in this crazy circumstance. And that, of course, is related to this first live stream I've ever had. And this is called The Forced Amnesiac Species. Can you remember the future? Can you remember a future besides this one that was broadcast millions of times by the dark side? Can we remember a different future than that? When I was young, I thought that life is so magical. All the birds in the trees, they were playfully watching me joyfully. But now I reached that age, they said I got to be logical. Oh, and stogical, dogical, stoical, and full of bull. There are times when all the world's asleep. The question's much too deep for such a simple boy man. Oh my goddess, I know this sounds absurd, but can you please tell me who I am? Who I am? Who I am? I was trying to figure out what song was going to go there, and little hit of indica last night told me, or should I say reminded me. It reminded me. Oh, and that's something I didn't put in my notes here that I wanted to say, that why does, I mean, besides that it might coerce you to come back, why do they love ganja? Why do the dark side love it? Because of all the things that people forget, all the times they forget. The forced amnesiac species. Can you remember the future? Is anybody out there? I know some of you people are watching, man. I've got friends that are interested, maybe even just a few. Welcome to put your comments. And of course, if the Archons present this to be a lonesome show, then that's fine too, you know. So we just magically appear in our mother months after intercourse, a brand new baby. Wow. A perfect victim, a perfectly innocent victim for the Matrix. A tabula rasa. Wow, man. So why was I born with all my artistic gifts, my autistic gifts? Is it the hour of the day that I didn't advertise? Yeah. Well, I welcome comments. And again, I have no presumption that anyone is going to try to dump some hubris in my, what do you want to call it? My fuel tank. And yeah. So I laugh at the deceiver if they block anyone, you know what I mean? Like, actually, you know what? I marvel. I both make fun of and marvel how the fallen ones are so masterful in making us seem all so alone. It's so fake. Even if it's going to occur at this point, I still marvel at how, you know, anyone believes, you see, because I know that it's not that way. You know, even if I had felt the need to attempt this measure. And again, because the saying that when two or more are gathered in my name, I'm there. When it's one person, they don't exist. That seems to be the way the Matrix wants you to think, you see, because then there's not going to be so much loose if you're an independent or if you just stay away from all that drama, right? So So yeah, so where did my artistic or musical gifts come from? Did they just appear? What do you think? Let's try that. So that when I get done with these notes, I'll be ready. So now, another thing, why was I later when I was about 5 years old, or actually around the same era when I was 5 years old, I was speaking light languages while I rode around in my big wheel, which is a little plastic vehicle for children, if you didn't know, from the 1980s. And how did I know that's what it was? I was watching one of these crazy, Portal to Ascension videos where they were doing it. People would tell me, you have an old soul. When I was a little kid, they'd say, you have an old soul. What does that mean? Children copied my drawings in kindergarten. I thought it was weird. My kindergarten teacher said, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. On the other hand, soon I would be called weird about 100 times before I turned 18. I estimate about 105 times before I turned 18. And until one point I finally realized that what it meant was unfamiliar, but I didn't like it when Santa Cruz took on the slogan, keep Santa Cruz weird, because I thought that means a lot of dark and evil shit would be hidden if they kept that slogan. But whereas I was called weird because people didn't understand what I was. It was different. It was, I was an outcast my entire life, existence here. I was an outcast. So, if my soul was so old, why couldn't I remember? Is the infant's tabula rasa a ruse or an oil change for them to keep all that emotional gunk? How you doing? Thanks for joining, Michelle. Is the infant's tabula rasa a ruse or an oil change for them, the dark ETs, to keep all that emotional gunk out of our master's energy harvest system we call the Matrix Human Loose Farm? From this perspective, the after or before life memory wipe is pure evil. And I was just watching a video to do some more research on this, review a video I've already watched, the Sovereign Spirits channel, about talking about this topic. And they say a lot of good points, and about reclaiming your sovereignty now, of course, and learning lucid dreaming, etc. But a perfect plan, and the memory wipe is pure evil, but a perfect plan in the sick minds of dark usurper ETs, in other words. What's up, man? Good to see you, brother. Our false self-imposed gods wipe us clean to be a blank slate for this existence. As a young person, I figured it made sense. I justified it. When I was when I was an optimistic Libra mom, teenager or 20 something, I was like, well, it would have just been too overwhelming, which maybe that's a good point, but it holds us back, man. It's like being held back in school forever. We're held back in school forever, man. It's like, no. Maybe we can put our heads together right now and figure it out, literally. That's what the whole point of this is, man. You understand? So that's why I'm glad you guys are here to join me for that. As a young person, I figured it made sense to have your memories wiped, as my mind would be filled with sorrow, confusion, and entire other missions and plans from back then. It would be way too confusing, overwhelming, too much to deal with psychologically. That made sense to me as a young person, you know. And until I saw the film The Matrix, and later read some of the Nag Hammadi, and I read it online now, the Forced Veil of Forgetfulness, and rendered wombs psychological tombs. That's why in my last talk I said you're born into the tomb, because when you're born into this sick, crazy world, it's like you were born into a tomb, you know, because now you've got to be a financial slave, or now you've got to be a loose drain. So anyway, so with them in charge, the life review inevitably has led to full memory wipes and shotgunning our essences back into an ideally muggle mom, as the guy that introduced us put it, shotgunning us back in to, I would say, a muggle mom to be a battery again. Ideally for an automaton for the beast, you know. Where is the soul growth possible in this? We've all said it many times. Where is the soul growth possible in this situation? How are we supposed to grow, evolve, heal, and get back to our divinity and liberation? How can you even attain full sovereignty as a forced amnesiac? What is the human race to do? I mean, is this Andrew Bartz that says he can do it? Is that real? Like to remember past lives, and can I get those old memories back, you think? With our memories that we had, with our memories, we'd be very powerful. You know what I mean? Even in just this one life, even all the times, as that channel, the Dark Matrix, as Tina says, you know, they wipe our memories every morning. If you don't learn how to do lucid dreaming or record your dreams, work really, really super hard at it. Just like I think astral projection or remote viewing would take a lot of serious work, like a year. I think for me, it would probably take a year of commitment to even begin to build, because of my ego, the sick walls of those rings are in my subconscious, just maybe not. I think it takes a partner though, because when I took a class with Sonia Testerman, a little free class she posted, and I guessed one of the objects in her hands. So yeah, if you get somebody to work with, even electronically, if we did it like this, we could teach ourselves to remote view just like this, by testing. You have to have someone to test it with, is what I'm saying. So, and that I think is probably, that could be true about past lives. I don't know. Did they wipe? Because that's something that is a huge variable. A lot of people claim different things. And for me, if you check my video I made a month or two ago, was called Memory Wipe Flaws. And it's kind of vaguely optimistic, because I have kept musical talents or whatever intellectual capacities from these past existences. They couldn't wipe it clean. They couldn't. If you have some skills, like in your essence has dialed in these skills, it seems like these fuckers are so evil. The intention is so purely evil that it can't. This is what I've noticed about evil, is that sometimes on occasion it won't work because the intention is filth. So the same thing goes with memory wipes. It doesn't work 100% because the intention is filth to make us batteries. So I remember, and that's one of the things I've said before, is that I remember to carry the oneness. As your video, I think your response to the Reaper guy was kind of, I wanted to crack my coyote, wanted to whip at you like a verbal whip, like a verbal quip. What do you expect? You play with someone that calls himself that, but how? Let's see. I'm almost done with the notes here, then we can chat a little more. So, is past life regression therapy actually real, or is that just something? Perhaps the fact that talents and some advanced con artists who are mildly psychic can do that, like make it up, and perhaps the fact that talents and skills earned are not always able to be fully erased is a huge clue to transcend, and to how can we transcend, escape, or shut her down. I think, I was thinking today, or I commented somewhere in the chat about how in Mexico and Spain, I heard that they'd all just shut down the business for 2 hours in the afternoon and take a nap. And I remember reading Castaneda, and also riding the bus from Santa Cruz to Boulder Creek. It takes an hour, and I would fall asleep on the bus. And I don't know, it could have been archons or spirit guides or whatever you want to call it. These entities would it was good spirits. They were giving me advice that was benevolent, but also making fun of me in the second bardo while I was in the theta state. And so, I really feel that this is a huge thing that we can, if you can learn to put yourself in a trance, that you can communicate or learn to, this is part of the way to these skills. I've read the CIA's remote viewing handbook, but I read Bob Monroe's first book. And then I read Everybody's Guide to ESP by Ingo Swann, and I still haven't got that much out of it. Yeah. So if you got those skills, that really can help you to figure out how to transcend or fly past the fucking, or just also, I definitely think what they said about your sovereignty, your self-discernment, self-respect, if you're taking care of yourself now, but also you're mentally and psychologically, I think it's a huge strength thing. If you really feel strong within yourself, you'll remember. I think all of us might be able to remember to not go to the fucking moon, honestly, but, so if you have these skills, it's a huge clue to transcend, escape, or shut her down. I'll start where I began searching at age 16. Castaneda, Carlos. I was looking for this quote, but I couldn't find it. Castaneda said something to the effect of, a shaman's goal is to stay alive, to keep their self intact after death. So it's like their goal is to, honestly, when I read that, I'm like, I get it, man. I think when I was 20 years old, I knew this was a trick that we got caught in. And that was why I was reading all these Castaneda books, because that was one of the reasons why I was reading it. I'm going to say right here too, I remember in a past life, when I saw Superman, it was like a memory came in my head. In the Matrix, in the Archonic Matrix, what did they do to Superman to show us that image? Although it was, it had to be the special race, but he was trained at Juilliard, but they had to put him in a wheelchair. Yeah, Superman had to get physically crippled in this world. It's like, wow. But honestly, and then that thumbnail I made for the flying past your limits, that's from the movie Brazil. If you guys ever saw that, that's another one where he's got the 9-to-5 job, and he's just like, the grind. It's Terry Gilliam. I love Terry Gilliam. He's a Fiacus. He moved from USA to England to join. He was the animator for Monty Python. Then he became a director. He's one of the greatest directors. And so yeah, the shaman's idea in Castaneda books, he says briefly that, and I didn't think he meant physically, although he could have meant it. One of the shamans, Don Gennaro, there was a scene in one of the books where he turns into a ball of fire. That'd be interesting if you could do that, Josh. He willed himself to disappear in a ball of fire. Like and then there was the story of Bruno Groening. He was an amazing German Christian, but he didn't believe in dogma at all and all that filth. Gemini, Leo Moon. But he was in the war, and he realized he could heal people with his psychic skills. And got to where he got renowned really quick, and he'd go out on his balcony and reach his hands up and lift his hands up. And his faith, he didn't have any dogma, I don't think, but his faith would heal all these people, and all these people that were crippled and cancer and all kinds of shit. And then the MDs and the authorities in Germany and the pharmacia, they were mad, man. He was taking their business. So the government told him, if you heal another person, we will lock you up. And then he started doing faith talks. And then they said, if you do any more, and that's kept healing people. And they said, if you do any more faith talks, we'll lock you up for that. So he told his wife at that point, he was 57, I think. He said, I'll burn out myself in 3 years if I didn't. Now, he might have been a real bodhisattva. He said, I'll burn myself out in 3 years if I can't heal anyone. And then 3 years later, he started developing cancer. He was on vacation in France, and his French surgeon friend cut into him. And they said that it looked like his inner organs had burned out. So I kind of think Bruno was a Christed being, but that's another story. But yeah, it's just, I think, he was done. He couldn't help anyone, and that pissed him off so much. He hated this world so much for that he burned out himself. He just burned his body out intentionally. It's weird, but Another one is, does Baba G exist? I mean, that's just you got to wonder, is Baba G just an old wise tale, or just, is it real? Or, it's the idea that this guy could come and go. He's kind of a bodhisattva character. He's all enlightened and he can leave a body or come and go when he wants. And, I'm not saying I believe it or not. It's a funny idea, but, we come up with all these kooky ideas from India, like that. Like, might be real. I mean, I'm not saying how do we get our memories back? How do you never have to give your memories wiped? How do you never have to get your memories wiped ever again? I mean, that's what we all want to know, right? How of course, learning remote viewing and could get you ready and used to that state. Will we eventually have to get rid of the moon? I mean, it's like, honestly, I made an early video about how ultimatums were, the Luciferic narcissistic predator way of discussing. But like, I think we ought to, as a species, we ought to give the people that are the beings that put the moon there an ultimatum. You can take it back to where it's from, or we'll just blow it up. Because we're, if we know that, I'm just saying, if we learn, but between now and when we learn, that's definitely where they wipe our memories. Then I would say the human race is, if it's still going to be able to do that, I'm not saying, or maybe like we'll shut her down. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's wishful thinking, bro. I mean, maybe it's only the tiniest fraction of us that are aware of this stuff. I don't know, but will we eventually? It's hard to say if I'm being optimistic Pollyanna in this question or not, right? But definitely remote viewing will get you ready for that state. Will we eventually be able to get rid of the moon? Will we have to get rid of the moon? The nefarious memory wipe station. Yeah, tuned in. Like, if you're tuned into a higher frequency, then the archons can't feed on you, or at least not 90% as much. It's according to corroborating evidence in this. Well, I don't know how much you guys would think this source is good or worthy, but maybe it was a book called Interview with the Alien, and supposedly this nurse was a psychic that interviewed the gray alien when the crash in Roswell, and like when it was dying, and then she released this text where she was dying, like 80 years old or something, and she said, okay, I want to give this to the world. And the thing that struck me, I heard about it from Journey to Truth podcast back when I used to watch them a lot, and the thing that struck me about it is that this alien said that they use some huge amount of electricity to wipe all of our memories on the moon when we die, every single human soul. And I was like, wow, man, I'm just saying, if this supposedly psychic nurse who, showed this encyclopedia and all to this gray alien, and then it like communicated all this to her before it died, it was old and dying. If that's all true, then it does corroborate that, you see? So, their near-death experience research channel, he's made these shorter clips of a lot of these. We've seen hundreds. I myself, a lot of us here, we've seen hundreds of near-death experience testimonies that every single one, these beings who are hologramically projecting that they're God, really always say you have to go back. It's not been a single near-death experience, of course, because they came back anyway, but all near-death experience stories say they were coerced to come back. All the ones that were all nice and all the ones were evil, all in between, all of them, they say you have to go back. Why is it? Does anyone really remember past lives and how they did achieve, how did they achieve it? How is anyone out there listening right now that knows how to actually to retrieve your past life memories? Did Andrew Bartzis develop a skill with ayahuasca like he claimed? He claimed taking ayahuasca allowed him to do that. Is that real? Really, could it really? I mean, he's a Pisces, Aries. I mean, I don't know. Is that possible? What can you do to keep your memories? What can you do to make sure that they don't get wiped? What is the best way to escape this insidious, horrific, hijacked human slave condition? They say in the ancient days, we'd all sleep with our feet around a big fire, and dream. When we dream together. I mean, we must have had a lot of dreaming powers back then, and to good remote viewing, you need another person to check to learn how to do it. Right. So could having two or more gathered in the name freed mind be a key to escape? Oh, cool. I'm going to check out more of his stuff. Thank you for mentioning that, Michelle. I appreciate that. In his books, back to Castaneda, where I began this kind of talk about this, thinking about this topic, Castaneda basically chases Don Juan through these mountains I'm in now. And I'm about to do that pretty soon, go and spend some time out in the desert there. It's wonderful energy to gain the healing gnosis. And I'm here for the physical healing and cool. I'm here for the physical healing and the mental and weird emotional healing of a Leo town, city, like 300,000 people with a double Aquarius. I think it's Aquarius rising and Arizona's Aquarius. So it's Arizona has a very, it's like, it has that aspect. I mean, it's got the gangs and all, and it's, it's got the violence and all that in these bigger cities, but it's a lot more different than, I'm almost 20 years around Santa Cruz. And so California coast it doesn't have that aggressive, like, the aggression of wealth as much in this particular city. And that's why I don't really want to go to the sexy, beautiful Sedona so much, on the financial side. It's kind of, this video was brought to you by, In Town Suites, because they hook you up, they hook you up on a deal here. So anyway, this is the closest one to me. And I did want to check out this town as well. So and I'm enjoying, the desert, the massive cactus, sag something. I think it's. I'm attempting to electronically figure it out publicly out of space. So what do you think the best way, Michelle? What do you think the best thing that folks could do to be able to escape or transcend the memory wipes and or even to remember their dreams, Michelle? What do you think? You can come on here and talk with me if you want. I mean, it's 27. It's interesting reading my notes to a little audience. I like this. So do you feel that if you really have the personal power, as Anne-Marie Uber says, she says that she's going to go to the mother, many of my friends in this journey call her the mother. I'll say Sophia. I don't know, just the original creator, or a lot of different, whatever name you want, or just, she said, I'll go to myself. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. I wonder, it might matter what kind of words or intentions you use, huh? But, I definitely feel that we could, or me and you, Joshua here, a few of us might have the soul power, or the essence power to get to say no to the coercion, the moon, or the tunnel of light and all that shit, because we're done. I mean, it is like, this place has been repurposed into a torture chamber, or at least mildly. I mean, until if it was all torn down, I mean, I really like this town. It's 120 degrees in the August, but like for a few days out of August, but like, man, it's like a desert Shangri-La almost to me, man. I want to go by the river here. It's really beautiful, man. It's funny, the river's called Santa Cruz River, and it's 80 degrees. Exactly. That's the thing is that, like, we are so powerful, and just to be used as batteries. And then it's like, but like what we're doing right now is an example of what I call UTAT till it's only us. I mean, when you look at it, loser why is it always a ritual and secret? Why do they have to hide? Why Why does it have to be hidden? Because it doesn't have a basis. It's fear, it's greed, it's lust, it's selfishness, it's 51 ATM. What does that mean? It's 51 ATM. 51 degrees. Yeah. See, man, that's why I had to take a break from the West Coast, man. I might just stay here, like if I find a crib. Like, see, the thing is, if I stay here by the month, it goes up like twice as much. Twice as much. It's crazy. It's like, this is a really good deal for 1 to 3 weeks, but then it goes up to like 3 times as much. I don't know. The government needs the money. But yeah, I mean, someone told me in the chat the other day or two that I'll be able to do it. That I can, they encourage me that I'll have the self-confidence. But I don't know. I mean, I know that they're going to sock it to me. Every stupid thing I've ever done, they're going to sock it to me. They're going to stick it back in my face. And I've done a lot of stupid shit in this flesh suit. I've done a lot of stupid fucking shit. I know that those archons are going to fucking, if I go near them when I leave, if my essence goes near them and I don't just fly off into the darkness, man, I know they're going to sock it to me. I know they're going to force me back, man. That's what I'm saying. I think that, think about it like this. Let me encourage myself. Let me bring in my so-called higher self, or my respectful, like the portion of me that is purely divine, and say that, like, when we dream, if you can learn lucid dreaming, yeah, man, that really is it, man. If you can learn lucid dreaming, that is going to be a huge help. But probably remote viewing even more. If you can control yourself, you're used to your. I don't know what other, again, besides what the sovereign spirits say, to fully reclaim your sovereignty. That, of course, is key. But man, it's such a heavy thing that, because so many of us, we don't want to come back here to this torture chamber planet, unless, as you say, I mean, I'm with you in that sense that, like, man, because when you go to nature, you can see the beauty. But if it's really true that they put selenite crystals in, even if you just look at what the moon does to the tides and all that, it might be kind of boring without tides. That's the thing, is that, like, I think unless we live somewhere where it was really super pure and we could have physical lives, we were just essence beings, like we got bored in so-called heaven or whatever, in some other place that didn't have physicality. And so that's how they coerced us. We wanted to, a lot of us, we wanted to experience a physicality, but then you get trapped by the fucking memory wipe. And I really do think that maybe it's true what Ashiana Dean said, that they covered over the portals, and I mean, rather the Stargate and Sarasota and Israel and all these different places where there's Stargates, and it was probably like, just like on Star Trek. I mean, Gene Roddenberry was getting downloads. Let's face it, man. Like, that ain't like some of the probably like 20, 30 different Star Trek episodes were just Gene Roddenberry was just, he got downloads, man. That was just the way it is in other places, man. It's a wild world out there. But yeah, it's just, I think this is the lifetime for some of us, man. This is the one, this existence or whatever, it's gotten so bad that, yeah, we're going to figure this out, man. We're going to do it. And fuck them, man. They don't deserve our energy. I mean, they don't have any respect. It's like, what deserves your energy is what has respect. What deserves your energy is what brings you joy, peace, but not with these side effects of terror, not with these conditions of, and especially since I broke those bones and all that. But, for years, just due to my several deadly illness and conditions, like I mean, I've accepted it, like, for for many years, that, like, I got to just eat the farm. It's just, I drink milk and eggs and potatoes, and it's like my avocado. And then I eat fish. I mean, that's probably the evilest thing I do, is eat fish a couple times a week, or strong. But the thing is that I mean, it tastes good. It makes me feel good, but I eat for health. I don't, like, I've had little benign cancers and shit for so many decades that I just don't even fuck around with sugar or any of this bullshit. So that being said, we have to feed this. We're on this loose extraction farm. So the old, I eat a lot more carbohydrates than I would. I probably got to eat less, but I'm not keto, but that whole idea of mostly, I do agree with Dr. Ted Gundry. He said your intestines craves and needs tubers. So I think you need carbohydrates, most of us, unless you're some, certain types could do the keto. But the whole thing is that if you eat really respectfully and healthy, it could decrease the bodily pains you mention in many videos, like Joshua, by like maybe 80-90%, because you're stealing the placenta from a chicken for a protein, and it's evil as fuck. And you gotta, but the thing is that Enki or Lucifer designed our brains. He took this existing hominoid or whatever we were before that, the divine Namulu Christos human race, some say, and the pure Christos human race, and then they added, the Syrian or the Wolfman or whatever you want to call it, the Anunnaki, these genetics that are warrior, and they needed blood, and they demand blood. These gods that demanded blood, and so our brains now need cholesterol to be healthy, and then so it's just the whole modern human body is a fucking takedown compared to what it really is. You look at somebody like Sean Bond, you look at some of these people, like I mentioned earlier, that when you break through these boundaries, like true psychics can, they can actually, or remote viewers, it's a common accepted fact that remote viewing exists. So we know that there's those who are going past that boundary, right? So the thing is that it's just a matter of self-confidence. I think I'm probably lacking in that. That's the thing, man. My weakness where I, have to strengthen, and but because I'm like a muggle coming from a muggle womb, and that way my subconscious mind, I'm like, oh, just I'm insecure. Like unless I take them, unless I pour some plant medicines down the gullet, or meditate for a certain amount, and do some deep pranayama for an hour or whatever, some kind of remedy, because the human body, but the thing is that I wonder, is it possible to remove the implants, the Jehovah Death seals, some call it, and all these things? Is that this just people trying to, advanced con artists, advanced, grifters? You got a lot of grifters out there. And so, anyways, that being said, we're inching toward that goal. I think I feel that, that we're going to figure this out, that it's a scientifically accepted fact now that people have these skills. So that's why I've made a video called "This is the most exciting time to be alive." As far as I meant as far as learning things, but really one of the most sickening and hellish and dangerous and horrific all is at the same moment, So, but that being said, with awareness, anything is really, the cliche is true. You can do probably your essence. If you're harmless and respectful, your essence can probably do anything it wants. You're trapped into this, this flesh suit that you have to keep feeding cholesterol. Yeah, you have to keep feeding carbs and fat and protein into it. You have to keep eating. And if you're someone like me, it's got to be some caffeine, because you have that's my only physical addiction. And got to have the caffeine and whatever your drugs of choice. And it goes on and on and on, and worse and worse and worse. But again, as you come closer to, I think, in a way, ascension it could be a real thing, but it's not this bullshit that it's portrayed out in the New Age psyop. Madame Blavatsky started the New Cage movement, and all this shit. No, it's going through the depths of hell, because I've been listening to a lot of these Chiron last. I don't know if I should say it or not, but I claimed that in the live stream that I listened to all your videos, Joshua, but I didn't. And some of those are so dark, and he ended up a homeless guy, and he said in his video, and man, those first ones saw a lot of views, and he does a wonderful job exposing the etymology of the words and how they. Another one that you guys might enjoy is Pierre Sabak. He really goes into the words. But yeah, there's a lot of clues. There's a lot of amazing researchers, hundreds of amazing researchers we have here online now, and it's a really a wonderful thing to be able to have access. to these gadgets, to this learning, this knowledge, this gnosis, this wisdom. And yeah, I mean, there is some possibility that you and me are not ever going to have our memories wiped ever again. Loving you, folks.